I think of the ninth chords as sort of the master chord of playing a jazzier ukulele. These are called dominant ninth chords. I'm just going to play a couple of them. There's one on a high-strung ukulele. Here's the same chord on one with a low G. They sound great on both kinds of ukulele tunings. Ninth chords on ukuleles are almost always made by taking a chord. Here's an A chord, and you take a tonic and you move it up a whole step so that it's the ninth. So this chord has a 9 in it. The A has become a B. It's not, however, a dominant ninth chord. It's called an A add 9. And in order to make it into an actual ninth chord, a dominant ninth chord, one actually has to add a G. Is I take this A7th and I add a B to it. That is a dominant ninth chord. I can move it up one. That would be a B flat 9, a B9. Dominant chords have to have a 7 and a 3 next to each other. So in the case of an A7th, there it is. It turns out that it doesn't matter whether the 7 or the 3 is on top or the bottom. So here's that same A7th chord on a low G strum. That interval is also a flat 5. And here's the A9, which can be used to replace an A7 in almost any song. Right? That's the D7th, you know. Here's the D. So this would be a D9. The D has been raised to an E. Again, something that you can move around. D, D flat, C9. Here's the F7th you're probably most familiar with. It has an A here and an E flat, that's the 7. So it's the 3 and the 7. There's that flat 5 interval. And here's another one, because there's another A on top. What about an F9? F is here. If you raise that to a G, it'll be an F9. So this is an F9. This is an E9. This is an E flat 9. We can also move it up. F9, G9. As it turns out, each ninth chord has 2 other names and 2 other uses. And probably the easiest way to illustrate that is with the last form, the 4th form that I haven't shown you yet. So here's a G7th. There's the G. That could be raised to an A. So change my fingers a little bit. That would be a G9. But if you look at that chord, it also is very similar to 2 other chords you know. So there's a D minor chord. We add this to it. Add a B. It's a D minor sixth. It's also very similar to this. This you probably know as a B minor seventh. B minor seventh flat 5, also known as B half diminished. So every ninth chord is also a minor sixth chord and is also a minor 7 flat 5. And I'll show those on the next two little slides so you have all those equivalencies. Just like a C7 would go to an F, so will a C9. But a C9, this chord, is also an E minor 7 flat 5. So G minor 6 can go directly to the 1, or E half diminished can go to A 7th and then to D. Ninth chords can be used anywhere that a 7th chord would appear. So if you look at a sequence like D 7, G7, C7 to an F, which would be a normal turnaround in the key of F, D 7th, G 7th, C 7th, F. You could also play that throwing in some nines. So you could play a G7, a D 7th, G9, C 7th, F 6th, or D 7th, G 7th, C 7th, F. At the end there I did a little trick. Instead of going, I took the F and then I made a B flat minor 6 and then an F6. It's called a minor amen. Here's another example of the minor amen. C, C, F minor 6th. Again, that F minor 6th is also a B flat 9. One of the clearest examples of where nines figure very heavily is in the Hawaiian turnaround. And in fact, one of my friends that's a uke player and plays a lot of Hawaiian tunes, he tunes his uke this way. And the reason he says that he tunes it this way is so that he can play and then C7. Key of A, the 2 would be the B. So we play a B9. That's a B9. And we just play through it from the lowest note to the highest. And the next chord would be an E7th. Again, play through it from the lowest note to the highest. Well, I hope you have fun putting in nines and minor sixes in many places, because they really do give you a wonderfully jazzy sound.